All right, everyone, we're really excited for episode 1 for our podcast. This is new to us, so we're still getting kind of used to it. We're going to be speaking about medical aesthetics, non surgical, and there's a lot of things. I've got two beautiful nurses here.
Thank
One is
you.
Belinda Stewart, one is Tish Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
They've been here for a long time, and they are the experts. I trust them with my face, both of them. So let's go with Belinda. What is your favorite thing to do with injectables?
Gosh, I would say lips. Lips is my favorite thing to do. You got two different styles out there these days. There's this younger generation that wants to have this big bodacious lip, I would say, and then you've got this aging clients. I hate to say that I'm in that aging clientele, but you have this other generation that want more of a natural looking lip. So
Smoothing.
yeah, more of a smoothing, and the challenge or the fun part of it is just knowing what kind of lip they want. There are a few that leave the place, and I'm like, don't tell anybody I did your lips,
Well, I
because
think
they're so full. But that's what they
Some
want.
people can hold that look.
Yeah.
well, and I
People,
think so too. A lot of people, when they think filler, they think Kardashian. And so not everybody that comes in is expecting that. So I think there's a lot of people that want filler, but they don't necessarily think, or they think, well, if I'm going to go in there and get filler, I'm going to end up looking like Kylie Jenner.
Right.
Right.
And that's not always the case. So I think maybe most people might be a little intimidated because they're
Right.
thinking that's going to be the result, but it's not.
I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And just really making sure in that consultation we understand what their needs and their wants
Right.
are, and I think we're really good at doing that. So I don't have a problem doing those big bodacious lips, but I enjoy doing both. I just want to make sure I'm giving the client what they want. Yeah.
I think for me being an owner too, because we can get basically anything we want anytime we want, right? And so when we had the mid face lift, which is the voluma, right, in the cheeks and then all of that good stuff, and I was scared to death to do it because I was like, oh, I already have high cheekbones. I don't want to look weird or overfilled. And I mean, you basically sat me down and it's like, we're going to do this because it doesn't do that. The areas that you're complaining about, it helps with that. And it was one of my favorite things that I've done. So
And
I
it's
think
it's
that's
a very natural look. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. So you would say the mid facelift is yours?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it instantaneously look better.
Yeah.
right.
So what is a mid facelift?
So it's a syringe of voluma in each cheek and then Juvederm around the mouth.
Right. And the purpose of that would be to lift. This is Tish's
To look
first.
younger.
Taryn and I have already done this once, so I've
We're throwing you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Adds volume, makes them look better, helps with wrinkles.
Yeah. I like doing that one too, just because as we age, we start to get really jowly. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people think that doing filler just in the marionettes or your smile lines is all you need. But really, we're really dropping from the cheeks down. And so I personally like that mid face lift because it just lifts everything from below up.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite things
So
too.
there is a thing that is at the arcing, right? Because
Yeah.
before I did the mid facelift, I had the areas that I didn't like, and you were like, hey, we can just do a little arcing and all of that stuff. So I think people that might not be ready or maybe too scared like I was with the mid facelift, that was an option too to help correct some of those areas
Right.
as well.
Yeah, I like the arcing too. It's just a term for arc derma. And both Tish and I got trained in that about 10 years ago, which I think it's exciting that we've been in this industry for over that amount of time. And every year there's something new and more softer, more natural look to it. And arc derma is something that I feel like gives a very natural look. It gives a nice lifting. It's just a technique when we do that mid face lift. There's tons of
And
different techniques, but
It's easy to get to those harder places when you do the arc derma.
So I guess that's where more of the artistry
yeah,
comes
it's a
in.
lot of artistry
Well,
within
use
that.
less filler,
Yeah, it's a more natural
better
look,
placement.
a little bit more of an advanced technology, I would say, whenever you are doing filler. And again, it's just about lifting those nasolabial folds and the marionettes and the lips. And it's just such a sweet, soft, and natural look.
Right, I agree.
So this is another thing that I thought was really cool that I didn't know that you guys could do as injectors. When my mom came in for some kind of training you were doing, and you did filler in her chin.
Yeah.
So my mom, sorry, Mom, I'm going to call you out on this one. She's always had just her chin wasn't very defined and didn't even know that was an option. And so when Belinda was doing the training, she goes, Marianne, I could just add a little bit of filler right here. It changed everything for her. She was so
Yeah.
excited about it. And so I thought that was really cool there's other things you can do with filler besides
Right.
just lips.
And a lot of times I'll tell the client to put it in right here, just a little ribbon on the bottom of the chin.
Right.
And it makes a huge difference. And they didn't even think they needed filler there.
Right. Well, it's one of those areas that's not considered on label with filler, but we do all kinds of off label stuff. It doesn't mean it's illegal and you can't do it. It just hasn't been studied and FDA approved. We do use it with FDA approved products. But you really can't not treat the chin. I mean, if
Right.
you're treating the whole face and you're trying to give them a more rejuvenated look,
Right.
you got to treat the chin. Just like sometimes we can treat the nose and the lips and the cheeks. And it is part of that face. And so creating that nice long, I mean, as we age, we tend to shorten our chin sometimes. Sometimes
Everything
it gets,
falls. Yeah.
or sometimes it gets longer. So it is definitely an area that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
So what are some other things that you can do with Botox? Like with filler, you can do it in chin and things like that. What are some little things that people always think Botox is here and here?
Right.
You can put it in the neck to help kind of lift up and retract a little bit. You can put it on around crow's feet, things like that.
Like around your eyes and stuff. And you can do it also like right here.
Yeah, you
Yep,
could do it
the
in your
bunny
bunnies.
lines.
Called the bunny
Yeah.
lines.
You can do it on the right here to kind of lift the sides of the mouth up.
Yeah. I mean, I can get into my technical terms.
Get
and
dorky
do
on
it.
us.
I get
We want
dork
dorky
out, yes.
Belinda.
Well, you know, the three main areas that people come in for Botox would be for their, when they get those 11s between their brows, which is a really nice treatment, their forehead, and then their crow's feet. Those are the most common things that people come in and ask for. But there's a lot of off-label things that we can do. We can actually slim the face by treating the masseters on the side. We can actually do little lip flips, which seems to be really popular.
very popular.
Right?
Those have been popular.
Right. Some people get a little dimply in their chin, so we can we call that the orange peel chin. I love what Tish brought up in the neck bands. That's an area that I think we are lacking when it comes to filler and Botox.
Right.
But to get that nice natural look, and I personally love the little DAO treatments.
Yeah.
It actually turns the corners of your lips up. I will say that Tish was my first complaint. She's like, I don't like that. I maybe have had one.
Either do or you don't.
Either you do or you don't. But
Not for everybody.
not
right?
for everybody, but I would say that 90% of my clients love doing that DAO treatment. It just really prevents that frowny muscle that comes in and brings that up. And we are doing all kinds of microtox these
That's
days
what I was
too,
going to say, the
right?
microtox
Under the
too.
eye,
Right.
tear trough.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
just to smooth that skin. And that being said, we can put it in a little vial that's got a glass container that it's called Aqua Gold that you can actually treat the skin with it. We are learning to do Botox just with the skin pen.
Right.
There's all kinds of fun things that we're trying to be innovative and getting out there with the Botox. So it's no longer just for frown muscles.
Right.
It's got a
Not
realm of
just for the
things.
forehead.
So I know the neck area seems to be a big concern for people coming in. What are some treatments that you can do for the neck?
Well, Tish kind of mentioned that first one that you can do with Botox. Botox has longevity of about 3 to 4 months. If you get any longer than that, you're really lucky, okay? Because that's not really what it's meant to do. But it can do that. And some people get a little shorter, and usually when they don't get that duration, it's just because we're not doing enough. It doesn't mean that Botox isn't
undertreating
working.
it.
Right. So Botox would be one of those things. We just added a new laser as well. It's called the Profound. We're excited. We actually did a little training last week. We've been so excited about bringing this on all year long. And I think it's that first thing that might address the neck area that clients are asking for. So it really does the tightening and the lift, I would say, and debulking.
Right.
Not everybody's a client for it, so you definitely want to come in and have a consultation. If you've got a really lax skin and lots of hanging skin, that's not probably the treatment for you. But
Or if they have a
just
lot
won't
of
see the result.
volume. When they have a
Right.
lot of volume, you can do Kybella, correct?
right, the Kybella will debulk as well, and so that is another neck treatment that we can use. But we can also do photofacials for pigmentation and vascularity. If you've got a lot of rosacea, redness, things like that. But the neck is something that we could address a whole lot more, and I'm just excited that we can do it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's exciting. That's exciting. So I know, just to talk a little bit too about our spa has grown quite a bit. And so there's always a feeling of just intimidation sometimes of going in different spas and everything. And I know that we've always been kind of like, oh, we want people to feel comfortable here. And we have this facility and we've done an update and everything like that. And just letting them know that we're still the same, you know,
Right.
happy group that we've always been. And
Well, I think with that expansion, and as you can tell, I'm the talker.
yeah, she
Tish
likes
and
to talk.
I'm trying.
I mean, I love to
You're like, I
talk.
could get a word in. No, I'm kidding.
But you know, just because when we designed this facility, we really kind of wanted to create 2 different waiting areas. That way, you didn't have 20 people waiting in one little area. So
Yep.
we have a little bit of a separation by a hallway, so you can come in on the aesthetic side, and you have to get invited back into this nice, beautiful, relaxing spot, and that's where you might be in a robe, or you know, maybe not, but it's just a little bit more private.
Yeah.
And then we have a separate area that's more of our med side. And then that med side, it's a little bit brighter. It's right when you walk in. And that way you're not overwhelmed with the large amount of clientele that's walking in and out of the door.
Right.
I think that separation has really made the flow a lot better and
agree.
less intimidating.
Yeah. And I think once we get them back into the room, you know, you sit down and talk about what their needs are, they connect that way too.
Right.
I agree. I think that the consultation, especially because we do have such experienced nurses, we've been doing this a while, so being able to relate to the clients, it's been really easy for us because we do have quite a bit of experience in this industry.
Yeah.
And one of the fun things we like to do, and I love doing this with Tish and Taryn, is we really do try to travel 2 or 3 times a year and go to different conferences that are valid for what we do. We have a lot of fun. There's a lot of
updated.
bonding.
Yes.
Yeah. But we just want to make sure that we're giving updated and new
Staying
things.
current.
Current. Yeah. Absolutely.
So on our lasers that we have quite a few. So what would you say is your favorite laser to perform, Tish?
I like the photofacial because the pigmentation is a big issue with a lot of people, and you can see the results right away.
Yeah, most of those take about 3 to 5 treatments.
I
so
always suggest 3.
You do
Yeah.
3? Okay. Well, I like that too because, like you said, pigment is a big issue, especially here in Oklahoma. We got a lot of sun during the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much in the winter, but I would recommend that if you are going to do lasers, it's usually done in the winter time, just when the sun is a little bit far away. It's the safest thing to do. I know that we do a lot of laser hair removal as well, and CO2s for multiple areas of the body. So you'll have to come in and find out what those services are for. But being part of the laser game here in Tulsa has been big for us.
Yeah.
And it's just dramatic. It's dramatic results.
Yeah.
Well, and if people have a question of what kind of laser they need, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like this about my skin or this or that, and they're kind of confused on which ones to use. That's where probably Carrie would come involved with being the
Yeah.
consultation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it's continuity care, right? You get to see the same person. She knows every skin type and she knows every single laser. She'll walk you through the consultation, get you set up on the right products.
Right.
You don't want to just jump in on a laser if you've got underlying issues that we need to fix first. So sometimes we might actually send you to the nurse practitioner if you've got acne going on.
Right.
That's the beautiful thing that we added in the last 4 years is a nurse practitioner to kind of handle those skin issues that we wouldn't be able to handle until they've seen their dermatologist or their doctor. So bringing on a nurse practitioner has been phenomenal for us. But
Yeah, one-stop shop.
yeah, one-stop shop. And then following that care through, they get their laser, they get assigned with a nurse, and then we do that post-care follow-up just to make sure that they are getting the desired results that they asked for.
Yeah.
So on our specialty lasers, there's a couple of different ones that we have. The core that does a couple of different things. So there's also vaginal rejuvenation that it helps as well. So I think a lot of people might get a little uncomfortable talking about that subject, but it is an important one. We actually have a lot of people that are interested in doing it and that's had it done.
Yes, and they've been very happy with the result. So
Yeah, and the vaginal rejuvenation is really great for those that have tiny little leakage problems.
right.
We start to lose that pelvic floor and it thins as we age due to loss of hormones, which is another thing we do is hormonal therapy. But by bringing in that laser and treating that vaginal canal, we do it in 3s, right? Once every month for 3 months. It really does build up that wall, thickens it up a little bit, and helps support that pelvic floor.
Yeah.
So if you have major leaking issues, it's probably not the laser for you. But if you happen to be jumping on
Minor.
the trampoline with your young child and you just got a little bit, it would be a great laser for that.
yeah.
Right. So what else do we want to touch on?
Anything else? I mean, we could talk a little bit about.
I mean,
some
we
of
could
the
talk all day
service-
long
yeah.
about this stuff.
Well, I just want to address some of the fears that people might have when they come in to get Botox. And some of the things that they ask a lot about is, why am I putting a toxin in your body? Well, I kind of,
Right.
it's been around for over 50 years. It's treated kids with cerebral palsy, contractures. things like that. So it really is a safe product. We're using it in a much smaller scale than those big, large muscle groups. So I tell them, I mean, in my 11 years, have you ever had a reaction with somebody that's had
Never.
Botox?
Never.
I think I may have had one, and she had a little difficulty swallowing after about the fourth time she got it. But I mean, it's rare. I mean,
Very
it's
rare, yeah.
right. And then as far as fillers are concerned, people are really concerned that we might overdo it.
Yeah.
You know, just like I think on the West Coast and on the East Coast. But I had 5 syringes in my face about 6 months ago, and I certainly don't feel like I'm overdone. I
Right.
could probably use a little bit more.
You look really natural.
I think so too. And I don't think people realize that it takes 5 syringes to make a teaspoon of product.
Right.
I
So
think
I think
that-
that's
yes.
important to know that it's really hard to overdo unless you've got a budget that can afford 15 plus syringes. And I just don't feel like you find a whole lot of that here in Oklahoma.
I think I have more people tell me that they're fearful of looking overdone. And so
Right.
they're scared to do it, so they won't do it at all. And anyone that has ever come to me about it, I'm like, okay, look at our nurses, look at our staff.
I'm glad you brought that
Does
up.
anyone here look weird or
Right.
overdone, or
Overdone.
anything? And they're like, well, no, actually, I mean, that's how I want to look. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you have to trust them because
Right.
that they're not going, they're your walking billboard. The last thing you want to do is have them look, like Catwoman.
Right.
At,
Too
Well, and I
much.
think when people hear 3 to 5 syringes, oh my
It's-
gosh,
yeah.
no
Right.
way. But it really does look good.
Right.
no,
I would
agree.
say it's about a syringe per decade,
Yeah.
just so to kind of keep in mind how much you might need. If you're in your 40s, it's probably going to be about 4 to 5 syringes. And then if you're in your 60s, it might be 6 to
More.
7.
Right.
We had the opportunity one year to actually treat to complete a 60-year-old and a 70-year-old.
remember.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she
And
looked
what a difference
amazing.
it did. And we
looked
did
great.
multiple syringes on
Yes.
them, and they just looked absolutely phenomenal and natural.
Yeah.
I will say that it is the trickier of the two to treat if you're doing filler versus Botox. Botox is really, really safe to get. Filler, it is a little bit tricky. You want to make sure you don't get in vessels, and that's where having somebody experienced do your injectables.
Yeah.
I go around trying to teach other offices on how to do it safe, and I think that is so important that we all do it safely. So know your injector, know their
Right.
experience before you resign yourself to doing 4 to 5 syringes.
And sometimes you can earn their trust, doing 1, 2 syringes at a time.
Right.
And that way they see that it doesn't look crazy, and then they come back for that 3rd syringe, 4th
Right.
syringe.
Dipping your toe in the water
Yes.
before you just plunge
Yeah.
in.
Well, it is a big step. I mean, people
is.
are afraid to look funny.
Right.
Right.
You know?
I love that. We have a lot of clients that will step into it slightly. They love the direction that it's going, and then within 2 weeks, we see
Yeah.
them back on our
They're right back
schedule.
on.
Well, yeah, and I
for
think
another one.
the whole thing too is letting them know, like, we're not trying to augment your look. We're just trying to make you look more restful.
Yeah.
Well, and
more
also
restful.
also doing it where we're not doing too little either.
Right.
Sometimes we can spread it so thin across the face that you don't even notice the difference.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a rookie mistake when you're first getting into this industry. You want to kind of save on somebody's budget, but if you're not doing what you should be doing, they will be back 2 weeks later
Right.
thinking that that product didn't work for them at all when
Like
it
it was
did.
a waste of money, but it
but
really
it,
Right.
did.
Yeah,
It
it
just
just
wasn't enough.
spread out. So, don't be afraid to do those 3 and plus syringes on your
Right.
clients. And that's really what they need. So making sure that, like I said, your consultant or your nurse knows what they're doing, that you can get those desired results.
Right.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're done today. We're looking forward to our next episode.
Yes,
number
to
2.
be
I love you too. I love talking with you
continued.
guys.
And what are we focusing on that next episode?
Allergan.
Allergan. Yes,
All about
this is going to be a
Allergan.
fun topic. So tune in.
This is someone's favorite.
It is. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. All right. Well, to be continued.